Alright guys, I'm on here to talk about PS5 exclusives and how people feel like there's not many games on the PS5 compared to the PS4 generation. I've gathered numbers for a bunch of PS4 and the PS5 exclusives and I've bunched them all together. We'll go through the copies sold and how many games there are on each console, and then we'll compare the two. So for PS4 exclusives, we had Killzone Shadowfall with 2.1 million copies sold. Then we had Knack with 2 million copies sold. Then we had Knack 2, there was no sales numbers, but we're assuming that it's considerably less. Then we had Bloodborne at 7.5 million. There's been a lot of people asking about a Bloodborne remake or remaster this generation. I'm surprised Sony hasn't released one with their track record of remakes and remasters. God of War sold over 23 million, which was massive at the time. Uncharted 4 had 18.6 million. Ghost of Tsushima had 13 million. Detroit Become Human had 11 million, which I think is a very underrated game. Spider-Man had over 20 million. Death Stranding had over 20 million. Days Gone had 7 million. I'm not sure why they didn't approve of a sequel. Horizon Zero Dawn had 74 million. Infamous Second Son had 6 million. I replayed Infamous recently. The game had poor writing and cringy dialogue. It shows how far the developers came when they made the Ghost series. Then there's the Order 1886, which was believed to be at 1.7 million copies sold, but the numbers are unconfirmed. Then you've got Shadows of the Colossus at 1.2 million. And then there's Until Dawn at 4 million. I don't know why a remake was approved for this when Days Gone can't even get a sequel. If I add all the PS4 exclusives up, there was 161 million copies sold over the generation. That included the 16 games that I mentioned, but there was obviously more. I just included the games that I thought were worth mentioning. Now onto the PS5 exclusives. You've got God of War Ragnarok, which has sold 15 million since 2023. Then you've got Demon's Souls at 2 million, which I think is extremely low for the quality of the game. It's a great remake. Spider-Man Miles Morales sold 14 million. Spider-Man 2 sold 11 million. Spider-Man 2's budget was $315 million and it definitely underperformed, especially when you compare it to Miles Morales, which was 156 million. They needed to sell 7.2 million to even break even with Spider-Man 2. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart sold 4 million. Astrobot sold 2.3 million. Returnal reports are over 1 million copies sold. With Returnal, I always wonder how Housemarque managed to get a second game. And I go back to Days Gone not getting a sequel even though they sold more. Horizon Forbidden West sold 8.4 million. Death Stranding on the Beach sold 1.4 million. It had less sales, but the buyers were definitely happy with the game. I saw a lot of people were talking about how they thought the game was better than the first game. Ghost of Yotei has roughly the same sales as Ghost of Tsushima at launch. The game just came out, so we can't really judge that at the moment. Helldivers 2 has sold over 12 million, but that includes PS5 and PC sales. I didn't include the Xbox sales, but massive numbers for a game expected to do low numbers. Then you've got Concord with an estimated budget of 400 million, with only 25,000 copies sold. It was known to be the biggest flop in video game history. You have to wonder how Sony thought this would pop off over Helldivers 2. Now, after compiling the PS5 exclusives together, that leaves you with 71 million copies sold, but I didn't include the Ghost of Yotei sales as the game just came out recently. Well, that's less than half the amount of sales as the PS4 generation, but there's only 12 games. There's obviously more games coming out on the PS5, and I've got a list of them here, but we don't know if any of them will be the quality of the PS4 exclusives for back in the day. So first we got 007 First Light, which is coming out early next year. The game seems to have generated some hype. I guess we'll have to see how it performs. You got Fair Game, which there was a trailer put out a few years ago. We haven't really heard much of the game since. I feel like most people just expect it to be another Concord. It doesn't really have any hype generated behind it. Then you got Naughty Dog's next game, which is Intergalactic Heretic Prophet. The first trailer didn't tell us much, but we're not sure whether it'll even release on the PS5. It might come out on the next generation of consoles. Then you got Saros, the next game by Housemarque. I personally expect it to sell less than Returnal, but that's yet to be seen. That's releasing in March 2026. Then there's Wolverine, Insomniac's next game. It should sell close to Spider-Man 1 in sales, in my opinion. It's apparently coming in late 2026, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a delay. I guess after going through all this, it's understandable why people feel like there's no games. Actually, at the moment, there is less games, and we don't know the release games of Insomniac and Naughty Dog's next titles. And it seems like most other games that are coming out are not new IPs, and are just sequels of games from the PS4. These might be becoming stale to some people. I think Sony needs to go back to what they were good at and stop investing in live service. People have quickly become fatigued in just about all live service games, and I think the sales of Ghost of Yotei have shown people still want single-player story-driven games. But anyways, let me know your thoughts or if I've missed anything in the comments below. Thank you for watching.